shout out to predictions episode. I am 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 years in a row winning the Oscar Geek vs. Pool. I'm turning into the fucking Undertaker, you know? I got my streak going. It was close. Liam and Dylan tied at 13 out of 24, and then I got 15 out of 24. So shout out to Dylan, because Dylan, it was his first year, and he went toe-to-toe with Liam. And honestly, at the beginning, they were leading me, because they got a lot of those stupid like live-action shorts and live documentary shorts. I'm not saying they're stupid. I'm just saying because if you listen to our predictions, we've not seen them. So we just guess up based upon the name or a picture. So shout out to those two guys, but I'm still rocking it right now. Hopefully next year becomes number 5. Big things as far as, you know, the Oscars. Lots of the awards I think we talked about were kind of spot on. Everybody got a prediction right except for Anne. We all got that wrong except for Toy Story 4, which I love Toy Story 4. I just didn't think it was going to get that. I thought it was a bit weaker, so they might look past it, but no. The acting categories went all the ways that I thought they were going to go. Go back to the prediction episode, because that's where, like I said, we review the movies, and I'm not going to get into why I feel that Renee shouldn't have won, or not shouldn't have won, but, you know, where's Lupita, why Laura Dern shouldn't have won, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Laura Dern, great performance. So I'm still happy with the ones that even I wouldn't have chose. Even someone like Brad Pitt, I don't think that was an Oscar-winning performance, but it was still a great performance. And man, I'm happy for Brad Pitt, because he's just been looked over time and time again. I think because his looks, and oh god, how bad for him. But the biggest thing is, and this is where Liam and Dylan almost won, was, that's why I want to talk about the predictions and the Oscars. And before I get in that, Joaquin Phoenix, it's just such a glorious thing to see as somebody that was in the heat in the middle of all the Heath Ledger, as I'm looking at a photo of him right now, I got a painting of it, of his Joker winning. And it was just the sense of, man, this guy really did something special. And I'm happy his co-stars is here. I'm happy Nolan's here, and I'm happy his family's here. But man, this really sucks he's not here for it, you know? And Joaquin, we got that. And that's where it just feels like a little redemption. I know they have nothing to do with each other, but for me, it just was like, I just want to see what would happen when someone gets that praise, gets those awards, and what's next for him. Obviously, Joaquin's a bit of a different cat, and even that speech is a different type of speech, but just to know that, hey, you deserve this. I know some people don't think so. I think it was best performance last year, and any male or female, I think it was really deserving. I think he's been deserved for a while. This was his 4th nomination, and it was glorious to see. This was, hey, and this will be the ending of that hashtag Travis told you so, because that's my biggest one, is they announced Joker, and so many people were against it, and I was just like, this is a good idea. And with Joaquin, and even Greg from Super Civil Podcast, shout out to him, great dude, he messaged me today. He's like, I remember you saying when they cast him that he was going to win an Oscar for it. And, you know, sometimes with Birds of Prey, I get stuff wrong. This was a pretty big one for me. I was pretty happy about that, and I was so happy to be right, because he deserved it. And Joker's my favorite character along with Batman, so it was great to see. So Purple Hearts all around. Where I was happy to be wrong was Best Director and Best Picture, because I predicted 1917 for both, which I so happy it didn't. Oh, I'm so happy because I just think it was such a boring choice, and I think 1917 is very overrated and very overhyped. So the conversation is now, is the Oscars kind of changing? We've talked about this a few times in the podcast. We've talked about this on prediction, and we've talked about this many times as far as Oscars in the conversation we just had, primarily white and kind of old, over like 50-60, right? So there's a big slant. And last year with Green Book, which I liked, I understand some of people's problems. I think lots of people are very hyperbolic about Green Book. I think people put a bit more shit on that film than it deserves, but fair enough. That's what happens, right? Sometimes people deserve something. When people say it's as bad as Crash, I don't go that far. And that's why I hate, because people will just praise Mahershala's performance in that, but say, oh, they won't even acknowledge that he's still in that movie. You know, it's just like he's separate from the movie. But like, he was still written by the same writer and directed by the same director. It's the same reason why some people shout out like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix, he should have won because maybe like the dialogue's not the greatest and Joker, blah, blah, blah. Those people don't do that with Mahershala Ali, so it's kind of strange. So I feel like if you're going to condemn the film, condemn it, but still praise it for certain things, you know, because people, I not feel bad because, you know, he's doing well. He's doing much better in his life than I am. But, you know, 2 Oscars, Mahershala Ali, like, he gave a great performance, and people just write off Green Book like it is one of the worst movies to ever be nominated. I just don't get anything that really puts down Mahershala Ali, and it's weird for people to support him so much, but then also just put that down and kind of not really do an asterisk of, oh, he was great or he rose above. It's just, that happened a little bit, but not that much. But obviously, lots of people felt that was a step back, that it was like a generic white. This is a movie that a bunch of white older dudes would vote for, right? And it's tough because if you look at the Academy Awards the past few years, you got 12 Years a Slave, like as far as the winners. People would make the case that, oh, it's a movie about slavery and it's white people trying to make themselves feel better. These are takes that are, people's takes. They're not mine. I think it's a great movie. Steve McQueen's a great director. So I think it was an important movie too. You have things like Birdman, very different type of movie to win. You have something like Spotlight, which is an important message. I think that's more in the older demographic of, oh, this is just a very, paint by numbers movie, kind of like 1917, so it's going to win. But then you had something like Moonlight, where that's where it was crazy because people would just shit on this Academy so much. And I get it. The Academy does have some reasons to be shit on. I talked about that on a few podcasts, but it's a give and take, right? Because the same people that awarded Green Book are the same people that award Moonlight when people said Moonlight was a game changer and it would really change the awards and how people looked at it because it's about a black gay lead. So obviously that's something, and it's very small film, something that's quite different, right? So that's where, for me, Parasite, I was happy to be wrong. I didn't predict it. I wanted it to happen. I wanted that, or Tarantino, or Joker. I wanted a lot of things. Just 1917. Parasite gets in. Bong Joon-ho has a magnificent, huge night, and well-deserved. If you haven't seen Parasite, what are you doing? I'm somebody that, I won't say I have a problem with subtitles. I have a problem with them in my life because I have very few times where I have no kids, and if I'm watching a movie with subtitles, I gotta have no kids. They gotta be quiet. They gotta focus because I don't want to feel like I'm missing something. So that's why for me, it's not so much of like subtitles I can't read them. It's just I have less time to watch those, unless I go to a theater, which we didn't get Parasite till I think we just got it a few weeks ago, and it was ridiculous because I was already trying to make my Oscar pool and whatnot. It's just a pain, Kelowna, to see movies in. But the thing is, does this change Oscars? Is this the game change that everyone's talking about? It's tough because, like I said, I feel that for every year, I said this on the podcast as well, the predictions, that I feel like every year the Academy does a progressive choice, and then they do a choice that you can agree, disagree. I disagree with some of it, but something like, to me, a Green Book or something like a Spotlight, where it's very cookie cutters, it's very by the numbers. It feels like it would talk about a certain, that demographic of the old white dude would appreciate this movie, right? And maybe the case is that old white dudes aren't out there with their eyes, looking at everything, not keeping an open mind. So is Parasite a sign that maybe either enough voters have come in to change things? Is it a sign of people being a bit more open-minded? What's the sign? I personally think the sign is it's just a great fucking movie and people saw it. And I do think there's a little bit of change, but I'm not going to put the stamp of approval on it yet that every year, I don't think in the next 5 years we're going to see another movie win that will not have controversy. I think you will get one like a Green Book where people are like, how did this win? I don't understand it, Look at Shape of Water. Another weird movie. So I think it's just sometimes certain movies win that people maybe really liked. And the same thing with Green Book is they do the preferential ballot, right? So maybe it was in a lot of 3 slots. I don't know. It's tough. I think to me to gauge this it's going to be next year. Next year is going to be the one where I look and see, okay, what wins again? Because you do have times where it was like, Birdman, stuff like that. But let me see if I can pull up the winners of the past decade, right? Oscar Best Picture winners. But yeah, Bong Joon-ho, what? International film, screenplay, best director, and best picture, which I think we're all deserving because for me, this might, people might disagree. I always say that whatever wins best picture should win best director. That's just the way it is. I might be closed-minded, but to me, it's just, I understand some cases, but that is the best picture. The person that was leading the charge, was the captain of that ship, should get it. So for me, whoever wins best picture, I'm not a big fan of when they split it. I always think that it should go hand in hand. You win best director, you win best picture. So let's do last decade, right? King's Speech, boring choice. Artist, boring. My takes, boring choice. Argo, you gotta make the case. It's maybe a bit of it's a safer choice. I love Argo, but it's a bit of a safer choice. 12 Years a Slave. I think it's a good choice. So boom, so a bit different. Birdman, boom, bit different. Spotlight. I think it's kind of safe. Moonlight, different. Shape of Water, and then Green Book, and then Parasite. So for me, you had Like, look at that. 12 Years a Slave and Birdman. Two kind of different movies. Even 12 Years a Slave, though, it's a bit more an Oscar style, right? So Birdman is different. Very different winners going on right now. Birdman, really weird film. Spotlight is a bit more contained. To me, the two are Moonlight and Shape of Water back to back. So maybe Green Book might have just been a pivot to go back to a bit more Oscar Beatty type movies or Oscar preferred movies, right? Because for me, I'm someone that likes Argo, but I am not going to tell you, oh man, that was such a experimental, different type of movie that I could have never won. Something like Django Unchained to me, or Beast of Southern Wild, like things like that would have been, oh, this is something really different that won. A Moonlight, same thing, really different. Shape of Water. Green Book, that makes sense. Parasite, first foreign language film or non-English film to win a Best Picture. So that's out of the box. So to me, it's all about next year to see, is it another Shape of Water? Is it another Green Book? If it is, or not Green Book, is it another Moonlight? To me, if it is, that shows that Green Book was maybe the reverse. When I say Parasite was just a great movie, maybe Green Book was just, that was the great movie that, if for them, was the great movie that lots of people just liked and they put it in there. And, you know, maybe the rest of the people couldn't decide because you had Black Panther, Black Klansman, the favorite, Roma, Stars Born. Maybe it was just divided a lot of ways. And the camp that liked Green Book was bigger than the rest of them. At the end of the day, tying back to what I said, the Birds of Prey and that the hot takes about why it bombed the box office, it's all opinions. But I agree with certain opinions that Green Book is a safer choice. I think Spotlight's a safer choice, but you have, I think Green Book, it's kind of like what I talk about with DC. You had Justice League, which, you know, was kind of was a disappointment. But before then, and Birds of Prey maybe now, but before then, you just had a bunch of wins on the record. As far as if you're wanting the Oscars to be different and to promote different type of films, something like Shape of Water, weird kind of sci-fi, not horror, but horror elements as far as the monster and Guillermo del Toro, that's there. Moonlight, like I said, a story that we don't see a lot and haven't seen a lot is the winner there. Parasite, same thing, right? So it's tough because now looking at it, I thought it was a lot more back-to-back of, which they did do for a while, right? But because what was I looking at in 2010, like I said, King's Speech, Oscar movie, Artist, Oscar movie, Argo, Oscar movie, 12 Years a Slave, Oscar movie, but I still think it's different. So it was almost like you have 12 Years a Slave and Birdman, something different or something important, and then Spotlight, and then Moonlight and Shape of Water, something different or something important. Then you had Green Book, so maybe it'll go Parasite, and then it'll go something different or something important next year, and then the year after I'll go back to it. I mean, you can't really know, but I think this is a good sign, and I'm very happy for that whole team because that is a great movie. It's definitely, I wish I had seen it before the decade because it would have been on my best of the decade list. It's a monstrous, goddamn good of a movie. I'm excited to watch it again. I'm excited to see what they do with that HBO series. There's rumors right now Mark Ruffalo's going to play the male lead, which I think would be the dad. I'd be very apprehensive if it wasn't Bong Joon-ho doing it, so I'll watch it. I don't know if they're going to achieve the same heights, but it'll be interesting. So yeah, it was I was happy with most of the winners, to be honest. Yeah, there were a few that like, I wouldn't have gone that route, but at the end of the day, majority I was happy with. I was happy Parasite won Best Director and Best Picture because it was one of those where I would have liked to see Tarantino finally get it. Joker's my favorite movie that year, but it's not a runaway where there's some years like when Logan wasn't nominated, I felt Logan is so much better than all these movies, where Joker is my favorite that year, but there's easily a case for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to be my favorite, be on the same playing field, and same thing as Parasite, and same thing as Jojo Rabbit as well. Those four are really interchangeable as far as like, I love them kind of all equally for different reasons, so I think it was a great Oscars. The show was a mess. The opening music number, E Minum coming out. They had the presenters for the presenters. It was a mess. I don't know if I need to jump on the bandwagon. We need a host because last year was great without a host. I think this one was just really scripted poorly, and yeah, I was not a fan of a lot of stuff going on there. So that was Dynamic Duo with, Dynamic Duo. If it's just me, that means it's you and me. We're making up that Dynamic Duo. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you like what I did here, please tune in a bunch of other stuff. Go back to our Birds of Prey review. Go forward to our Sonic review when that happens. I got the match come out March 1st. You're going to want to tune that. It's going to drop on Twitter and Facebook. The links will be there. It's going to be on YouTube. Please watch it. Throw a subscription down. Throw a like. And same thing for this podcast. If you like what we're doing, please, especially these next 10 weeks, we got some good opportunities coming up, so we want the numbers to be as best as possible. Show, hey, maybe you should support us to certain people out there. Wink, wink. So if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't, please drop us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't told a friend about us who you think might like us, do that. We need all the help in the world because we want to keep growing. Like I always say, people message all the time. You should do this. You should do this. And this is way out there. People go, oh, I wish you guys were daily. All those things that you wish or you say, hey, we want that to happen or I'd like that to happen, we're saying the same things. And we need your help. And that's something you guys have supported us through these past 4 years. So we already are in debt to you. But if you want us to keep growing and keep going, we still need you on this journey. We still need you to come along. So I thank you very much for tuning into this episode. I had a fun time talking to you guys. I will be back on the Sonic review. And until next time, I'll see you later.